Welcome to episode 10, and yes, we have finally got here. The render engine. Let's start adding some files, and let's start doing the master renderer. Yes, the master renderer. So we have all of our draw techniques. So we can just call this master. And render. Master render. God, that looks silly. But it's correct. Hey ho. Hey ho. And of course, we'll need two files. It's C++ after all. And that's just going to be master renderer.cpp. There we go. You might not know this, but I've actually not written this yet. It sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? It's actually on my development bench as we speak. It's been under development now for about 6 months. It is in its final proofing stage and has been fully tested. I think it's ready for publication. I think this is okay. I've been through it a couple of times and I can't see anything wrong with it except that it uses window. It needs a window. Oh dear. That's going to be fun. Hash include, and it's going to be a master renderer.h. There we go. Let's give it some space. Thank you. And in here we'll have a hash, a paragma, or once. And we're going to have quite a few includes, aren't we? Oh yeah. Well, we're going to need that map thingy. Yeah, you will do. We are going to need the vectors. That one, please. There we go. Anything else? This is going to be interesting because I don't actually know. We're going to need the shaders and the draws. Don't the draws have the shaders in? Well, they have each individual shader in. No, I don't think it's wise to rely on that. So we are going to need that. Put one extra line in, please. Yeah. I'm going to need that one. No, take that line out. What we'll do it this way around. So we want the terrain one there. That's those two. And we do need to hash include. Well, they're in the same area, aren't they? So it's just going to be draw entity, yeah. Draw entity H and hash include draw terrain. There we go. So that's what we're definitely going to need. Are we going to need anything more? Very good question. What do you think, Muppet? Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. Let's, okay, round the cat I now have to type. Thank you, Muppet. So, namespace. Let's get on with this. We'll find out what we need as we go along, the usual. So it's amber. That's that one. And namespace. And it's render engine. Render engine. Okay. Looking good so far. Looking good. It's a class. I know that much. And it's going to be called a Master Renderer. Is it going to have anything in it? Yes, of course it is, yeah. So let's see what we can have in this class, which we have to semicolon at the end. Ooh. Right, well I'm going to need a display window, aren't I? So I'll pop that as a note. Display window. We'll just call it star m underscore window. That's what we're going to call it. Okay, that's that line out of the way with. I'm sorry, Muppet, really, that's not going to work. Thank you, Muppet. We are going to need our camera. Where have we left our camera? Can anybody remember? We left it somewhere. Let's think. Entities, I think we left it in. Entities, a colon. Yep, there it is. There's our camera. Let's be really, really ingenuitive and call it m underscore camera. It's a new one. Never heard that one before. It doesn't like that. Yes, it does. Thank you. Because I know that camera's in draw entity and draw terrain. But maybe I really should put it in. I should put it in, yeah. I don't like leaving loose ends like that. So yeah, we are going to put it in here as well. That's fine. It's just in case. It's one of those horrible areas where I can see it all going wrong. And it should just be camera, shouldn't it? I think it is. Entities. Camera. Yeah. .h. That's fine. You can find it now. Stop giving me green squigglies. Thank you. What else are we going to need? Shaders. Those are good. So they are in Render Engine. No, they're in OpenGL. Okay. So that's OpenGL then. OpenGL. And I'll give, yeah, that gives us our shaders. Static shader, please. And let's have that. If you notice, these are all pointers. M underscore static shader. Why are they all pointers? Ah, you may ask. Because I don't want them on the stack. I want them out in memory. I don't want them cluttering up the place on the CPU side. I just want them all stored in memory because these are going to be stored for the entire length of the program. So as long as the program is running, all of these values are needed. We can't have that in the chip memory, basically because, well, that just clogged things up and would stop us doing other things like loading in nice big models and things like that. So no. These all have to be pointers. Stop gibbling on and get back to your OpenGLing. OpenGL. Terrain shader, please. And that's just going to be star m underscore terrain shader. Oh, there was something I didn't like about last episode, and that was me S's. Me S's, yes. Terrain.h. If I go down here in terrain.h, no, we weren't doing that last episode. Last episode we were doing draw terrain.h. And if I look down here, I've got and terrains as a plural. I want to take that out because it isn't multiple terrains, it's only singular, and I've got to learn not to put S's on the end. So this will teach me, because now all of this lot's wrong. So everywhere that I put that silly S in, it really, really has bugged me, because it's nothing to do with plural terrains at all. It's all to do with a terrain. So all of these are singular. We're only dealing with one, not multiple. That's okay, that's okay. Yeah, I've done it again here. It's singular, please. Don't know why. It is a habit. I pluralize everything to make it, well, I don't know, stupid maybe. I don't know. It's just the way I work in plurals. See, it's the way I think about things. They're always in plurals. I always do multiple, not singular. Okay, I'm happy with that now. Do apologise. A little extra work there, as I'm trying to make this up in the master renderer. Render engine, we're already in it. So draw entity, we already have. Draw entity is going to be a star m underscore draw entity. Nothing is going on here that I either you haven't seen me do before or looks a bit weird. Everything should now be exactly like you've seen me do a million times, except now I'm explaining why I'm using stars, which does help, I suppose, so that it's kept in the main memory and not on the chip memory. I think that's a better way of putting it than calling it the stack. The stack is the chip memory, the direct memory that it uses. That's most of those. So we now also need our maps and our vectors. So our map is going to look awful, of course. That is in models. Texture model. Now I know that it's available to us, but I'm not happy that I haven't put it in. Model textured, that one, and it's comma, and this is where I want the vector, isn't it? So yeah, put it on a different line because it's going to be a longish one. I'm just wondering why my things aren't telling me that they're there anymore. My screen's changed. I haven't done anything to change it. Yeah, okay. Feel that way. It's an STD vector, I know that. So the key was the texture, the model textured. And what's the vector? The vector, I don't know, was entities entity. So that is entities. Now, again, I know that's available to us. I'm not happy about just popping it in like that without any good kind of explanation. Entities entity is an address out in memory, main memory, should I say. And we're going to call it our list of entities, our map of entities. There we go, and this is plural. Now we know the difference between plural. So I need models and I need entities. So we'll keep our Muppet. No, that's not good to be Claude. So hash include. And I'm doing this on purpose. I'm adding them on purpose to show you exactly what's being used in here. This is how you should do it. You shouldn't just rely on it being available from another header file. You should actually put it in and let your compiler decide where it should place it, not you. Your compiler's going to do a damn sight better job of this. Trust me. So it's entities. And I want entity itself, which is entity.h. Thank you. I also want another one, please. Didn't like entity. Oh dear. Did I call it entities? Did I pluralize it here? E-N-T-I. Yikes. I've done it again. Do that every time. Why? Weird. Weird brain. What else did I put in here? I put models, didn't I? So models. Yeah. / and it was model textured.h. That should do okay, I hope. Thank you for that. Yeah, we're okay with those two now. So that's the model and the entity added. So now you can see that we're pulling all of this stuff together. This is showing exactly why we had to do all of the previous work just to do this render, as it were. So yeah, it's a lot of files. This is the biggie. This is the one. Oh, my little lines have started coming up again now. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, computer. I also want a vector, of course. And this is just going to be the terrain, isn't it? Again, it's in entities. So it's entities, : and yes, I know it's available. Terrain. And it's just a star because, yes, it can be multiple. And that's going to be multiple this time. Definitely is, because we can have more than one terrain, as you're about to discover. I know before, when I was inside the actual draw terrain, that there was only singular. We were only going to draw one at a time. But now we can actually hold multiple terrains and slot them side by side and stuff like that, so we can make bigger areas. So I have to make provision for that, even if we don't do it. Yes, that's the point to that. Again, I've added something, so that comes under entities. I'll put it after that one. Hash include, add it in, so you can see exactly what's coming up. It's a long list, and it's just terrain.h. Yeah, it's a long list. And we haven't even finished the maths yet. Alright, that's okay. Terrain.h is going to come through nicely. So as you can see, we're going to be bringing in all the entities. We're going to be using the OpenGL, which is why this slots in with the OpenGL. We do have the models coming through. That's because we do need access to the textured, the model that's been textured, as well as the entity itself. I know it's already held in there, so I don't need that line, but I'm putting it in just to show that it's all being used, as it were. I'm going a bit overboard, I suppose, but not really. I think it's how you should do it, rather than leaving people to guess at what you've added in. Why don't you tell them? If somebody comes to this in the future, or I come back to it in the future, and I want to know what I've actually used. I don't want to be hunting through the header files to find out what was available and what was not. I want to see it up front, what exactly I made available. So there it is. That's my reasoning for it, but hey ho, other people may think different. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So, what have we got that's public? That's something. Yes. Sorry, I can't remember doing it, and that's because I used copy and paste. God, it's so bad of me. Don't know why. Oh well. Master Renderer, here we are. We're here, we're home. Is this going to be explicit or not? Yes, it is. I don't want it, the compiler messing around with this, do I? So explicit. Explicit. Master renderer. Open. And that's going to be your m_window. I can do that. Comma. What else are we going to need? I'm going to need the address of the camera. Yeah, I am. So it's going to be entities, camera, and that's just going to be and camera. I just want the address. There we go. I think that'll do. Do I need anything else in here? The camera is the only thing, and the window is the only thing that needs to be passed in. Everything else is provided. Yeah, because the camera and the window are tied together. And that's my cat crying in the background. It's so sweet. Why am I not allowed explicit? And I'm not allowed that comma at that point, am I? No, okay. That's okay. Yeah. As I said, I haven't written this. Do I want to make the destructor virtual or not? Not when I'm explicit, I don't. I really would. No, it's gonna have to go in. So that's just going to be title, which is above my hash key on the British keyboard. I think it's on your above one of the numbers on an American one. I can never remember where it is. So I'll just put master renderer there. We don't want anything there. There we go. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. What do we want to be public? I think the obvious one's just going to be void render. I know it sounds silly, but void render, that'll do nicely. And we will need entities. Things that aren't automatically available to us already are light. So we've got camera entity and terrain sorted. We've missed light. Going to be helpful if we have that. I'll call it the sun, because that's what we have up in the sky. You can call it what you like, but that's just to remind me that we've only got the sun at the moment, and that I haven't done anything for lighting, like shadows or anything like that. Do we need the camera again? Yes, we do, because the camera moves. Duh. So we are going to have to take the camera again. So why bother taking it the first time? For a static input at the beginning, that's a setup. We need to set everything up So yeah, it's a duplication. It's a damn nuisance one, but it's a duplication. It's because of it changes. And so can the sun. The position of the sun can. When you think about it, the lights can change that place as well. And I'm going to take those two. I'm going to take the addresses of wherever we put those out in memory. Don't think I'll need anything else on the render. Alright, we are going to need a couple of processes. Now, should they be private or not? Oh no. Oh no, those have to be public. Right. Yes. So we have void. I'll do process. I'm going to process terrain first because it's easier. It doesn't have a map. I've added a couple of things. Do apologise. So I've added light. I've added one thing which comes under here. We'll just pop it at the top of them. So hash include // entities. I bet you'd never expected to see something like this from me, but it is true. This is how it is done. We've done all the hard work in these parts here. This is the easy bit, except for the next line after this. So we are going to process, and we are going to process a single terrain item. So it's just going to be entities, colon terrain, and it's just going to be and terrain singular. Yes, that's better because we're going to be doing a single one there. This is where it matters. And this is why that's why I went back and redid it. It's because it really does matter at this point, especially about this next line, because this is going to be process entity. And what it really means is add terrain to the scene, add this entity to the scene. So after you've loaded a model, you can then process the entity to add it to the scene. That's all it's going to do. And of course you can process as many terrains and you can process as many entities as you like, and it will store them for you. Very kind. The terrains will go into a vector here. The terrains will all be stored into this vector, and all the entities will be stored into this map. Okay, so we know what's happening. That's the good bit. How do we do that? So process entity. We just want an entity to process, don't we? We need its texture though, don't we? It's all in there. It's all inside the entity. We've got everything that we need. We've programmed it really well. So that's just going to be entities. Entity, of course. And it's just going to be the address of the entity in question. Wow. That really does start to make it look easy. It's the first time I've ever seen this. Yeah, first time I've ever typed these lines. And that is making it look very easy. That's all I'm going to need, isn't it? Yeah. All I need to do is to be able to process a terrain, process an entity. I don't need to process a light because we're not having multi-lights yet, although that is something for the future to be aware of. How to expand is easy. If you want multiple lights in your scenes, then you just start a vector of lights. Yeah, You just put in here standard vector entities : light asterisk, and then m lights comes here, and you just put in a process lights thingy here and copy basically what's in the terrain. The terrain is a basic one, the process entity is the awkward one. So for simplicity's sake, I'm going to leave it as that, as all the functionality we're actually going to need. Nothing happens in private because it's all been done here. So there's very little left for us to do except to process and render. Wow. That's awesome. That really is awesome. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be very, very easy to do then, isn't it? As a master renderer. I'm just wondering what I can do about this here. Nothing. I can't do anything about that there yet because we haven't got it. Okay, we'll save it out. That'll do. That'll do. This is looking too easy. Wow. I'm sorry, but I'm being a bit wowed out by this. Namespace. Amber. Namespace. Did I talk about these namespaces and why I use them? To separate everything off? I hope I did. Render engine. Are we in? Yeah. Render engine. I mean, it's obviously how I get to the namespace. It's in Amber and it's in the folder render engine. It's just a standard way that I use so I don't get myself lost. Now all we're going to need to do is that. I wish it was that easy. Because this time it isn't. Yeah. And that's Shift. Is it Alt? Yeah. There we go. I'll take these semicolons off. Give you a bit more space. I'll do the others. Muppet, will you stop doing that? I know it's very kind of you and you're very loving, but yeah. Lying on my arm is not a good idea when I'm trying to type. Yeah, okay. This isn't looking too bad when you think about it. After what we've been through to get to this stage, there really isn't much programming left to do after this, except for maybe the maths might be a bit tricky. But, I mean, we can gloss over a lot of that, really. I guess. Control V. Let's make everything a member. Yeah, coffee is required at this point, I think. Oh, that was good. Nope, can't do that. It's copyrighted. We're on YouTube. Don't do anything that's copyrighted. Otherwise, I'm going to have to tell you that black is white and white is black. Here we go. So, yeah, going up. Just for completeness sake. Just stop it from doing that for a second. Why don't you like me? Thank Thank you. So, what have we got here? We've got a colon, tab, m underscore window is going to have to be something or other. Call it window for now. Comma. What else are we going to need? Camera. Let's start at the top. And that is going to be and camera. Yeah, okay. Pop that in there. Better not forget to put the and address in there. So we're looking for the address of the camera, not the camera itself. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. Because what's going to happen here is we are going to run all of the other programs that we have written. And how do we do that? We're going to do that in the setup of the master renderer. So, we now need to create the static shader. This is the beauty of C++, because we can do this. Static shader equals a new, now where is it, shaders? No, OpenGL? Yeah, OpenGL. Static shader. And it will create a new one for us. Yeah. Because all we need to do is tell it what it's called. Where did we put our shaders? No idea. And source API GLSL. There we go. We called it static shader with capitals. So static shader. That will then load that program, compile that program, and set it up for being used. And it will dump the resulting placement in memory of where all that is stored into the variable static shader for us. Right here. Isn't that clever? Wow. That is awesome. Now, when you realize you can do that, you then realize the power of C++. You've written your own language, and now, as you're setting up the master renderer, you're actually running the whole of the render engine. All the bits that compile into being the render engine are now going to be set up. So we've got a static one, we'll have the terrain one. Terrain shader, and you can possibly guess now that that is going to be that new OpenGL, and it's a terrain shader, open brackets, open inverted commas. What did we call it? Terrain shader. Now, if you remember back in when we were writing these, I only asked for the file name. It doesn't say it here, but if I just go down to number 2, shader name, it says. And the shader name is terrain shader and static shader. It's not asking for your file path. And that's because I do the file path for you, because I know that I've placed them here. So if you want any more GLSL, or you want to change any of your shaders, you come here into the API GLSL and you change your shaders here, and in the render engine you can change your shaders here or add more shaders here in the render engine itself. And it makes it very, very expandable in a unique kind of way, because you can actually take things out and put things in as you want. Yeah, I can take the terrain shader out and put it in as and when I want. It's that easy. So, Blaze, what are we going to do for draw entity and draw terrain? Well, exactly the same kind of idea. We'll do draw entity first. Yeah, it's first there. Whichever one's first there. So that's now going to be a new, and it's going to be, it's already in render engine, isn't it? So it's going to be a new draw entity, and that's going to be an open bracket. And what did we ask for? Did we ask for anything useful? Draw entity, what did we ask for? We just wanted to know the shader, didn't we? So it's yes, you can actually use it. Static. That's what we asked for, so that's what we'll give it. So we've actually created it here, and we're now using it here. We've only just created it. Wow! Can you do that? Of course you can. Operates in line by line. So that value exists at the beginning of this line, so yes, it can be used. Wow! This is getting, I'm actually programming without programming, if you see what I mean. We're just using what we've done and letting it create itself and bloom like a flower as we're writing it. So I'm guessing that terrain's going to be the same kind of thing. What are you guessing? Right. Draw terrain is that one. Open brackets, and it's just going to be a new draw terrain. And we're just going to open the brackets, and all we need then is underscore terrain shader. Next one down, please. Sure. Right, that's that one done. So we've actually now created all of the static shader, the terrain shader, and we've now created a draw entity and a draw terrain. What else have we got left? Yeah. We've got those horrible ones, haven't we? Yeah, we have, haven't we? Underscore entities. Okay. That's going to be a new one as well. Initially. Because this initializes everything, remember? So we'll need a new one of these as well. So this is where it actually comes into existence. Yes, this is the point in the program where this is actually activated, comes into existence at this very point, this line here. This is where std map comes in. Its very first line that gets processed. And it's models. And it's model textured. And it's a comma. And then it went on to the std vector, didn't it? Which I always put on a separate line. So std, oh, it's done it to me again. I don't like this text editor. I don't find it easy to use when doing that. And this is vector. You don't have to put it on a separate line. I'm doing this only because it'll go nearly to the right hand edge of the screen. If you've got small width on the screen, it's never going to fit. And it's entities, isn't it? If I remember rightly. Entities. Did I get it right in the header? Yeah, I did. Doubled it, yeah. I always get that bit wrong, usually. Entities. Colon, and this is entity, isn't it? Texture model is the key. Entity is what we're passing in. So entity, it's an asterisk and it's a close. So it's just a new one of those. It's not called anything. at that point. But it will be a new one. Looks weird, is weird, but works. Weirdly. m_terrain is probably going to be something similar, isn't it? Well, yeah, it is. So that is going to be a new, and that's just an std vector, isn't it? Standard vector. And that's going to be an open one thingies, and this is just going to be entities terrain, isn't it? Yeah. Easy peasy. Once you know what it looks like, it's easy. But all I've done there is I've copied that list from top to bottom. Sorry, including the window. From top to bottom, and I've initialized each one. So that's the class master renderer. That is the object we are going to create, the master renderer itself, which will initialize all of these, except for window and camera, which have to be initialized elsewhere, which is why we need to pass those in. Everything else gets literally initialized. They're all brand new. The first, because you only run it once, this will only ever be done once, because it's a master renderer after all. Why would you need to create two master renderers? You only need one, which is why I said it's explicit. So, do we need to do anything in here? Yeah, we do. We need to get all of that information from the shaders. Because remember, at this point, we don't know what's in all. We don't know where all those variables are in the shaders. But we did program a way to find out, which is really useful for us because now we can use it. So on our static shader, it's a pointer, so we'll point. We can now do a get, I hope. Is there a get? Yeah, there it is. All uniform locks. That's what we need. We need to run that to get all the uniform locations and where they've been stored. We have to do it now or forever hold our peace, because otherwise we just won't know where they are. What that will do is it will run that function inside the static shader, and that will then store inside the static shader where all the uniform locations are, so we don't need to keep going and finding them ever again. They will be on tap. They will be on hand every single time. So terrain shader, please. We'll do the same. And that will be a get all uniform locations. So that's all we really need to do. It runs everything else itself, I think. Yeah, it will do. That's good. What do we need to delete? Good question. Quite a lot, I would think. We need to delete m_terrains. That will get rid of that new m_terrain. Why have I got wigglies on it? What have I done wrong? Is not a non-static data member or base class of class. Amber render engine. Okay. Why aren't you static? That's interesting. m_terrain. m_terrains. Entities, plural. Oh, it doesn't matter about. Yeah. You see? It does matter. So, terrains. When doing deletes, we usually do them in reverse order of which they are created, so that nothing when it's being deleted stands on anything else's toes, if you see what I mean. You know, it's dependencies, just in case of dependencies. So we'll delete the terrains, then we can delete the entities. you can see how this is being worked out already. Hopefully it's becoming obvious what I'm doing. Now we can delete the drawers. Draw terrain. Draw terrain is 1. Yeah. And we can also delete m_draw entity. Now that's interesting because I can't do the other two. Why not? Because they are shaders. I can't delete a shader. Shaders aren't deleted. They are removed from the system. They will have to be done differently. Okay, I'll leave that to the system then. I won't do it myself. So yeah, just reverse order. Anytime you use something, you should delete it. The reason I'm not deleting these shaders is OpenGL handles things differently. And OpenGL isn't C++, it's C. And it's totally weird and wonderful how it does that. And no, not going there. Not there anyway. So let's do the master renderer. Or should we do the process first? No, let's do the master renderer. Let's show you what it's all about. What have we got at the top? We've got sun and we've got camera. As usual, we keep the camera, don't we? We don't keep the sun. No, we're not keeping lights. So mCamera has a value. mCamera equals camera. That's a standard one, isn't it? The address of camera. There we go. Yeah, that's okay. Right, we're looking good now. So, let's see what we need. There are so many different ways to do this. Now, let's do it the easy way. So, can't actually put it in. It will be a pointer. And it'll probably be called clear screen. Why wouldn't it be? Can't put it in yet, we haven't written it. Simples. mDraw entity. We have to prepare it. What does prepare ask for? Map for projection. Now, the map for projection is given from the window. So that will be m_window, because the size of the screen or the window that you are using is dependent on the window, obviously. Yeah. And we'll probably write a function called getProjection. Or something like that. And it'll be a map_for. It'll give us a map_for in return anyway. That can be semicolon. Semicolon, yeah. We can close that for a minute because... One sec. I can't do it like that. Got to turn that into an asterisk, otherwise I can't complete. There we go. Yeah, and I know it's wrong. And it'll have to be wrong. I'm just going to put to do on it. I'm not going to put anything. I'm not going to put any instructions on that one. It's obvious that it's to do. It's an error. So we prepared the entity, we can then get our static shader up and running. So we need to start that. Might help. That doesn't need anything. So void. Yeah, we need to give it the light. That might help. So it's going to be one of these load light, isn't it? It doesn't know that at this point in time. That's just going to be the sun. It is asking for a address. So that's sun. That's an address. There we go. Now we've got we've started the shader. We've loaded up the sun. We can render everything, can't we? Yeah. Why not? Draw NT. No. Render, maybe? That might help. What information do you need? Oh, yeah. Yes, it needs all of that. And guess how we're going to type all that lot in. Well, the first one is an asterisk. The second one is an asterisk. So it's going to be a pointer to the entities, because that's an address. And mCamera is already a pointer, so that goes to the camera. Okay, so that has to be a pointer to no, Muppet, come on, move. I'm trying to type, love, come on. Where are you going? Okay. He just wants the windowsill, so he has to climb all over me to get to it for some reason. No idea. What was I doing? Entities? Yeah, I was trying to get to the word entities. And m_camera. So that's those two pieces of information that get passed in. Oh. Yeah. That will send all the entities in the hash map. Yeah. And the camera, of course. Yeah. Was it that easy? Yeah. Because now all we need to do is m_static shader. And we've used it. So we'll stop. That's it. That's your master renderer. That is how easy it all becomes. All we've got to do then is plug in the window and it's up and going. Wow. It's not as complicated as you thought, is it? Creating a master renderer is literally preparing it, starting your shader up, making sure your shader's got the bits it's missing, which in this case is the light. Then you can literally render, and then you just stop your shader. Guess what we're going to do next? m_draw terrain, maybe? Yeah. And up. Thank you, Muppet. That was really nice of you. You stood in places that I could squeal at. Prepare. And again, we're going to use exactly the same thing here. It's repeated. So in other words, we could split that out. I'm guessing. Not really needed, I don't think, considering the simplicity of what I'm trying to show. Guess the next is m_terrain shader start, isn't it? Terrain shader start. Then it's going to be terrain shader load light. Yeah, it is. terrain shader. Whoops. And that's going to be a low light. And we'll put the sun in again, because we like it being the sun. M_draw terrain. I bet it, at the end of the day, if you ever thought it was going to look this easy, you would have gone, why didn't you just do this first? Well, that's because we didn't have the code. Render, please. And what does this render method need? It needs a star and terrain and a star camera. So and terrain, star camera. So that is star terrain, star M terrains. Comma underscore camera. Because remember, the camera position may change. And, of course, the size of the window may change, which is why we're having to pass these in all over the place. Which is a shame, because it'd be a lot simpler if we didn't have to do that part even. Shader, stop. Terrain. Shader. So it's just repeating itself. And then at the end, we have to start cleaning up after ourselves. So M terrain, always do them in reverse order. You never know what's going to happen if you don't. M terrains. What was it? Clear, I think we called it. Yeah, it's an automatic function from C. That's just the only C function we're using. Okay, fine. Entities. If you don't do this, then you will fill up your vectors and your maps with more and more terrains without ever clearing them. So it will be just a massive memory leak. So big that you would not believe it. So we'd better do that. And that'll clear the hash map as well. So those are the two C commands we're using just to clear things up at the end of things. And that's it. That's your render. Timing 102. So we're going to stop here at part 1. And in part 2, we're going to do the processing. Reason why I'm splitting at this point is process entity, the second one, isn't as straightforward as it may sound. And I would prefer to spend a bit more time on that. That's the only real bit of programming we've got in here. Apart from starting and stopping shaders and drawing entities and making sure the shaders have the right details, it's straightforward stuff. It's going to be really nice when we put that window in. Just look out, it cleans everything up, really does make everything work so well. It's the heart, literally this is the heart of the renderer, and as you can tell, it works that way. So in our next episode, episode 11, we will do these weird what are these? These weird processing bits. And these weird bits do need a little bit more explaining, and I will do that in our next episode. So until then, take care, and above all, have fun.